Alrighty, our first and only TVZ of the night. I'm excited to see how TVZ looks, especially between these two. Shout out to Ivory for the prime. Welcome, I appreciate that. I'll let them know I'm ready when they are. This best of 5, guys, is for 125 buckies. Ready when you are. Moja's got an interesting username. It is Mojo Van Dam. I don't know why that's the username, but it's all good. Players. Players race. I think Indy is the host. Maybe he's alt-tabbing. Protoss won last series 3-1, but it could have been DJ's night. It really could have been DJ's night. That game 3 is one that's going to haunt him a little. That's unfortunate, but it's okay. A Neil switch is coming. But is it actually a Neil switch, or is it just a Neil switch in different colors? Hello, Roddy. Hope you're doing well. I'm doing great, mate. I'm having a very fun Friday so far. Besides that one game of Deadlock that I lost. That still hurts. Shouldn't have lost. Bought the wrong item. Currently waiting for our players to ready up. We are in the lobby. Everybody is here. Map pool 4 out of 5 Neil maps, and map 4 is going to be played on the Romanticide. That is an old school 8-Rex map, by the way, where the Terrans go for the full wall off at the ramp of the natural, and then they mine out the minerals and they just send it. March 25 Switch 2 is coming. All timing. I feel like they should have tried to get that ready before the Christmas holidays, no? And every kid wants a Switch with a Neil switch. My brother's son plays a lot of Fortnite. He sometimes plays it on the Switch, and he says that he's better on the Switch, and he also puts it on the TV. But it's so crazy. I feel like the game runs pretty poorly on the Switch. I look at that, and I look at the stuttering, and I feel like it looks a whole lot better when he plays it on the PlayStation than when he plays it on the Switch. Indy, we are waiting for you. Roddy versus Yakov. Don't want to brag, but I believe the last time we played I got him. Or it was the second last time we played, but... Oh. Indy is chilling, guys. He's probably just celebrating his victory. But as soon as Indy is back and he's done celebrating, wondering what he's gonna spend those buckies on, we can start off our 3rd series of the night. Indy is kind of hurting us. What a guy. We have a French caster as well tonight, TKL. I think TKL felt a little bit guilty because he reached out to cast the Serral Knight. And I hit him with the Mala quote. That if you're not interested in Bochum away, you're also not welcome to visit the Champions League final. And I said the same for my boy TKL. If he's not interested in Champ versus Goblin, I don't want to see any DMs on asking if he can get to cast Serral on the Friday night. And since that day, he's always been here. Gaga. Indy said he had a super important call. And Moja is saying he probably looks at Jorix's medevac from game 3 another 3 times. Oh, poor DJ. That was a tough one, guys. A 3-2 and a 3-1. A fun night of games so far. So far, you guys seem to think that this is going to be a one-sided adventure in favor of YoungYakov. Now, I haven't seen crazy much of YoungYakov over the last few months. Moja is always playing. I think he's not very happy with the proposed changes. I know a lot of the focus is on Protoss, right? And what can we do for Protoss? But sometimes we forget there's also Terrans and Zergs out there that are not quite Clem or not quite Serral. They're probably sitting is like, does anybody care about us? Like, do we matter? Moja is a tiny bit concerned about a lot of the proposed changes, but as far as I am concerned, that man can still build 8 barracks, build a lot of Marines, tanks, and he should still be able to send it. Fionn says he believes in Moja. I think YoungYakov is definitely better in a lot of things in Starcraft 2, but it doesn't matter in like certain aspects that you're better at if those aspects never come into play. And Moja, I think we know what he's capable of. I think maybe he only has one trick, but he's incredibly good with that one trick. I think it's going to be a fun series, and I don't think it's that easy to call.
Let's get it on.
Round 1. Fight!
In the top right side of ley lines, we are looking at the main base of our Russian Zerg. Welcome back to the Big Brain Bouts. I've asked this guy so many times to play, believe it or not, because I love inviting him. I love inviting Fjont and Nikic. Like, these Zergs we just don't get to see that much of, and I feel like they deserve love too. This is YoungYakov, but I call him YoungYakov because I think that sounds better. In the bottom left side, we are looking at the main base of our German Terran. He is known as an absolute 8-Rex animal. For the people who don't know what that means, 3 bases, 8 barracks, 1 factory, 2 factory. Most of the time I think it's 1. And a crazy amount of marines. And he's incredibly good in that. Don't ask him to split the map with sensor towers, planetary fortresses and ghosts. That's not his playstyle. So I'm sure that he doesn't like the ghost change, but I don't think it hurts him that much in his TVZ. This is Moja, the runner-up of the most recent Big Gabriel offline cup in Cologne. Lost in the grand finals against Battleby, but still second place, not too bad, not too shabby. A little spray, or is that his deco? Spray GG next to his hatch before the drone became a hatch. Don't know how the changes of hatchery cost, queen cost really come into play in TVZ. I just haven't seen a crazy amount of high level TVZ yet on this PTR, on these maps, so it's very hard for me to have a strong opinion about it. Perhaps next week we can get a little bit of Rainer versus Clem going. Oh, YoungYakov loses his first Overlord to the 2 Marines. Moja having a 2-Rex opening, but opening up with Marines before Reapers. That's a pretty sick snipe. Getting an Overlord 2 minutes into the game. This box not hits us with the that's GG. You know what that reminds me of, mate? The one game of Deadlock I lost today, where a Grey Talon died 2 times at minute 12, and he said, "It's GG, just let them end, please. It's a waste of time." I'm like, mate, stop it. We've got 5 more players on this team. We're doing our best over here. Like, I'm sorry that you're having a bad time. I'm sorry that your opponent played better than you, but it's not GG. And losing that first Overlord, it's very annoying, but it's definitely not GG. I'm definitely a little bit confused. And now we've got a 3rd barracks coming up as well. So it's maybe a kind of a spin-off of what Cure used to do, I guess, but I don't feel like Cure opened up like this. 2 Marines into 3 Reapers into a 3-Rex. It is one hell of a build by Moja, a man who I definitely think always prepares something spicy for the Big Brain Bouts and tries to not make it too easy for his opponents. And these Reapers, honestly, I think they've already been pretty successful. How many drones do we get in the end? It's 4. So 4 drones and a lot of lost mining time. I'm sure that Moja is a tiny bit scared about his add-ons being exposed, but YoungYakov obviously not going for a Baneling bust. He's not mining any gas, we don't have a Baneling nest. Zerglings could still decide to click on this tech lab. The firepower of 3 Marines is not that high. If I was YoungYakov, I'd go for it, but now 2 more Marines show up. Let's see if that call would be correct, guys. I would have gone for it. Yakov goes for it. It's not correct. Ay caramba. Moja with the bait. Great save there. I mean, I can't blame Yakov for it. I would have done the exact same thing. Yeah, without any roaches, without any veilings, it's hard. 4-dimensional chess is being played by Moja over here. Yakov now drops the Baning nest. Obviously maybe a tiny bit worried about the inevitable Marine move out. But you know what's very annoying? Because he lost that first Overlord. He has no idea if it's like 2 more Rexes in the back of the main, if there is a 3rd command center, or if it's a quicker factory starport. At this point, if you're Yakov, Mixu would say that this game is hell for the Zerg. You know something is coming. You just don't know what it is exactly, and you don't know when it comes. It's just so hard, right? Because if you try to be safe against everything, you are eventually going to fall very far behind. If you guess wrong, you could be straight up dead. Frustrating game, I think, so far for YoungYakov. There is no third command center yet. It's just a factory and a starport. I'm gonna have 2 marines. Could be like old school Benny, where you move out with 2 medevacs full of marines and then you wait for medevac number 3 and 4 and they show up and suddenly you've got like 40 marines on the other side of the map with +1 in combat shield. And good luck as a Zerg dealing with that if you don't have bailing speed yet. I'm very concerned, guys, for our Russian Zergy here in game 1. But of course, if Moja doesn't get anything done, if Moja makes one micro mistake, yeah, then his entire game plan can be thrown out of the window as well. Comes down to micro here, where I do think the Terran has a lot of micro potential, and as long as he doesn't do anything silly, this should always go kind of well for Moja. 8 slow banelings. Bailing speed gets fired up immediately as the scan gets thrown down. Good job there, splitting off a couple of marines, so he gets that creep tumor and he gets this one too. Sees the queen move over, Moja sees that queen, kills it immediately, gets the creep tumor too, well done. Still just 2 bases, guys. Bit similar to what Beyond did for a little while on the maps like Waterfall and Inside and Out against Zero and Rainer. And obviously Bunny was known to go for a lot of 2 base play as well. But Bunny would often do it after command center first. So command center first and then marine tank liberated 2 base all in. Yakov looking for the run by and he gets it. The depot was lowered. Ay caramba, that is a very decent amount of Zerglings. And now Moja obviously has to worry about what's happening at home and he has to worry about what's happening on the other side of the map. Was that the run by that Yakov was looking for, or did he need those units at home? I think the run by is always going to be good regardless. But there is still a pretty big Terran army that he needs to worry about. Eventually the Zerglings will get cleaned up. How many marines are left over? 28 in total. What a run by, guys. Moja down to 24 SCVs. But let me tell you, Moja can build a lot of marines of 24 SCVs. Whole position being used up for the Zerg. Bailing speed is done. 18 bailings in the mix, 5 queens, 2 liberators, 3 tanks. And this is close. This is really, really close. I can still see Moja win it, but obviously if Yakov holds one time and one time only convincingly, he gets the dub. Here come the Zerglings and the Bailings from 2 different angles. Can the Liberators fall? Can the tanks fall? The answer is no. A lot of Marines left over. I think Moja has it. With 24 SCVs, well, he's not there yet. He's not there yet. He did lose the lip, but he has 1 more lip out and 1 more lip that's about to come out. Hatchery very low on HP. Oh, he goes deep. He goes really deep. Only 1 tank siege up, but he saves it. Nice hot pickup there. Ah, the 3 tanks putting in God's work over here for Moja. 24 SCVs and a dream for the German Terran. As he gets the hatchery. Obviously, YoungYakov still has a very big worker lead. All the tanks on siege right now. That's very scary. Moja, oh, that's a mistake. Loses 1 tank, loses the second one as well against just a couple Zerglings. But he is making good progress deep into perhaps the natural even of the Zerg. As the Bailing Nest is going to be the next target. That's a very big one. It's a very important one. And I think Moja has it, but the man is working with 24 SCVs. All the talk about 8 Rex, but he hits us with 3 Rexes, baby. 3 Rexes and 24 SCVs. But the Bailing Nest has fallen. YoungYakov forced to pull the drones to the front lines. The queens are going through the meat grinder. It's Zerglings, Bailings, drones and queens against marines and tanks and the Liberator. It is mega close, but I think Moja just has a little too much firepower in this final set of marines. Oh my goodness, could it have been any closer, guys? I don't think it could have been, but it's good enough for Moja. Marines with +1. They slap, baby. YoungYakov is going to try to rebuild the Bailing Nest, but at this point his economy is hurting as well. And this right here is vintage Moja. 24 SCVs, low HP Marines, but he's stimming deep into the main base for the final queen, for the final drones, and the final set of Zerglings. YoungYakov has a few more showing up, but it is not going to matter. It is Moja. Oh. What a first game, guys. What a first game between these two. Fun stuff. Well done. YoungYakov had a very good engagement at one point. It's just barely not enough. And then I feel like Moja set up a perfect bait where it felt like he went too deep with the Marines. And Yakov went for it, but there were 3 tanks sieging up, 2 on the low ground, 1 on the high ground. And they got some really big shots off. That's fun. Very well done. Well, so far not that one-sided. Of course, this is not something I think Moja can get away with 5 times in the best of 5. This will now also stay with YoungYakov as Basilisk hits us with 10 more gifted subbies on the Friday night. We see Fishy. I recognize Fishy. And that's about it. Maybe Stoyanov? Adams? Just reading the updated PTR notes now to see what you meant by Ghost nerf. Yeah, Ghosts are now 3 supply. I know a couple of the Korean Terrans are not happy with this change. I quote an anonymous source. If Ghost 3 supply, Sniper should be more powerful. I think we all know what that means. I don't know if that's gonna happen though. I don't think the community would take very well to a Sniper buff at this point. So, yeah, let's just see. I mean, I'm okay with everything, guys, as I always say. When it comes to balance changes, I read it and I'm okay with it, and then I play a bunch of games and eventually I'll form an opinion after I also see people that are way better at this game than me play a bunch of games against one another, see all the different scenarios play out. But I just hope that the crazy amounts of negativity and whining and especially bashing of the balance council, that stops a little bit. And it's not that I think that everything they've ever done or came up with is amazing, but I do think we should show a tiny bit of appreciation to a bunch of volunteers who put in a lot of hard work trying to make this game better, trying to make this scene happier, and just have everybody shitting on them 24/7 just makes me kind of sad. It's just not needed. It's not like they're trying to make things worse. They're genuinely trying to make things better. And it's not easy when you're working with a developer that is very, very disconnected from the game at the moment. There is no pay at all involved. So these are all people that are doing this from the kindness of their own heart. I know there are some people out there who believe that pro gamers are doing it to make their race more powerful so they can win more prize money, but that's incredibly silly. They're trying, and sometimes they're gonna hit a home run, and sometimes they are going to miss the mark a little bit, but they are trying, and I think we should be very happy that at least someone is trying. Because Blizzard hasn't really tried a whole lot for us. So. Apparently, Moja is having some minor issues loading into our second game here on El Dorado. He says he's going to relock, and then we'll give it another shot. Hopefully everything is okay. It always scares me when people start having issues in the middle of the series, especially after last week. Last week was a proper clown fiesta. Honestly, all Molten's fault, but that's okay. You know, that man watches a lot of Watford. If anyone is familiar with a clown fiesta, it is Molten. Roddy, why don't I see your live on YouTube? I don't stream on YouTube. I've never done. It used to not be allowed, and that's why I never did it. And eventually, like, the contracts became, or the contract sounds so official, but the Twitch streamer agreements, partner agreements became a lot more loose, and you are allowed to multi-stream. But I don't like the idea of not having, or streaming somewhere, but not having the chat open, because some people could have a very bad experience, and I'm not monitoring it. I also don't like the idea of having 2 chats open and then reacting to one chat that other people don't have open. To me, it's just a net negative, so I prefer to keep it at 1. Quality is just better on YouTube. I don't think it would make a difference. It depends on how much bitrate I would stream, but I don't think I would like to stream at more than 6K, so it'd be the exact same. It all depends on how high I set the upload. I know that the bar is a little bit higher on YouTube, but I wouldn't go for that, because then I wouldn't be able to play any games at all before the show starts, and I wouldn't like that. Moja's having serious issues, guys, with loading into El Dorado. We're gonna give it one more shot, and otherwise Moja can host. I think you just let it load, even if it takes a bit longer. Should be fine. Otherwise, you host. All streaming and no play makes Roddy a dull boy. I will never be accused of never playing the game, so it's important for me to get a couple games in. Alright guys, we cannot get Moja into the game, so this is very frustrating. He has now logged off Battle.net for the 5th time, and now he's gonna be the one trying to host. Fingers crossed. It doesn't matter, JBS. If I'm gonna have like 99% of the people watch on Twitch and then the 3% of the people on YouTube, it's not worth it. For instance, on YouTube, I do think the rewind button is amazing, but I think that the chat experience is awful. So it's not just about what's better for me, it's also about what's better for the fun. And I think people in general will have a lot more fun on Twitch. And then some people will have more fun on YouTube because maybe a slightly better quality and the rewind button, but it wouldn't work for me. And it's important obviously to also do what works for me. Maybe one day, but I don't think we're gonna see the day. It's gonna take a little while. The changes are all live on the PTR, so everybody can download the PTR. You don't need an invite. You can all select that in the Battle.net client. Log in, make your account, play your games. Try to get some activity going on the PTR. That would be awesome. I've done my job. I'm like 70 games in, 60, 70, maybe even 80 at this point. So you can all download it, but it won't go live on the real Battle.net for a little while. And I do think that sucks. I kind of wish that they'd be a little bit quicker about it. But I guess they want to make sure that the community is not up in arms and it's not one big dumpster fire and everybody's angry. So apparently a few more weeks of testing, which does kind of divide the player base a little bit. And that sucks, but it is what it is. Anyway, game 2 is live. I'm sorry that it took a little while. We can blame the German internets.
Round 2. Fight!
In the bottom right side of El Dorado, taking the 1-0 lead with a very funky build. 2 racks on the low ground, 2 Marines into 3 Reapers, into just a 2 base all-in with Marines, Tanks and Liberators. I thought it was very well planned out, very well executed. This is Moja. 1-0 lead. In the bottom left side, we're looking at the main base of the man who's opening up with a 14 gas, opening up with a 14 pool. What the hell is even this? A Russian Zerg. YoungYakov. Whoa. What are we doing here, guys? Okay, that was just an... for a split second there, I thought it was real. And I was like, is he going to go for some sort of a Ravager rush? But cancel that. Now, if he would go for something like a Baneling bus, for instance, that would have gone a whole lot better if Moja would have spawned on the left side, because then the add-ons obviously would be exposed. But not certain. I'm not sure what this is all about. No reactive Cyclone is the roaches. I mean, the OG Cyclone, and I haven't even seen it yet today. Actually, we saw it. I didn't click on it, but DJ did make it. Was pretty good because the lock-on radius was a bit bigger, right? So a lot of micro potential. What is YoungYakov cooking here? Zergling speed is research for Zerglings on the way. Moja is going to scout. It's obviously a little bit late, but he will still scout. I can imagine him sending those Marines out if he sees that there is no hatchery here yet. Saw the Zerglings leave there, so I think he caught a little glimpse of the Zerglings.
Command center upgrade.
Leaves an SCV behind to maybe go for a follow-up scout later to see what the plan is. That's obviously very unfortunate for YoungYakov. The fact that his Zerglings got revealed, it is a full wall off. The Marines are definitely going to stay safe. Careful with your Overlord here, no? Oh, that's so risky. That is so I actually think 3 Marines would have killed it. I just had a 40-second answer about that syndrome. Honestly, it's actually one of the most heartbreaking moments where you give somebody an incredibly elaborate answer. You yap for a minute straight, and then 10 seconds of silence, and someone asks the exact same question. And you're like, ugh. It is a dagger in my heart every single time. TLDR, it takes a while. Yeah, exactly. Thank you, Doomrat. Bedankt. The SCV and Reaper have gone down, but obviously if I was YoungYakov, I wouldn't be mega happy with this, since he still opened up with a very early spawning pool, mined that gas very early, and yeah, he's not really gonna get a whole lot done. The third command center is being built at this time. Honestly, it's built in a spot that I think is kind of difficult to scout for the Overlord. The Overlord have to go in pretty deep. And even if you send it in deep, like, do you want to go for the bottom? Do you go for the top left? Do you go for this area? It may be very difficult for YoungYakov to figure this one out. Sorry, there's something under my mouse and it's distracting me. Dust. Yeah, I think Triple CC is an incredibly solid choice. I don't think he has to worry about anything. He's not being all in. And obviously Yakov has been hurting his own economy by expanding later and dropping the pool and the gas early. So far, not the series for the man that a lot of you guys are labeled as the overwhelming favorite for this one. Terran will definitely make starports, but it's gonna take a little while. He's gonna get a factory first. After the factory, you get a starport, you get a few more Rexes, and you take it from there. A 2-1-1 opening out of 3 command centers. I think that's also a little bit dramatic. Hackeristop. Hackeristop is hitting us with the I don't see how YoungYakov wins. Well, how about he defense drops well? How about he takes a good fight? He sets up a run by. He gets his own upgrades going. Like, it's a little bit dramatic 4 minutes into a game saying that there is just no way that a Zerg, that it probably is a slightly better player, is going to win this game. I would agree that the first 5 minutes are not the dream 5 minutes. But to say that this game is over in favor of Moja is way too dramatic. Yakov is way too good for that. It does feel that we are going to have... where do you fly this orbital by? Do you mine out these minerals and you take this base? Probably that's the play, right? How big is this mineral patch? I feel like it's kind of big. You take it behind the gold. You mean you land it here and you saturate the gold? Yeah, that is a play too. I do feel like, obviously similar to Golden Wall in the past, if all your focus is on the bottom side of the map, like, you do give up a lot of map control, and there is a lot of scary stuff that could happen from this area, this area, this area. If you're just gonna mine out these minerals, you're gonna land your base here, and you're basically gonna try to parade push like this to the other side of the map. You mine, I think you can mine all of them. Oh, you mean, yeah, actually that's a good point. If you take the gold from the bottom, you cannot mine of this. Well, man. Maybe? I don't know. Bully says you can mine all of them. So then I guess you can mine all of them. I can still absolutely see Baneling Bust or even some Dropaloid play, right? I think of Mixu and all the great Dropaloid play that he's had. You just put 2 Dropaloids here, you drop a couple Banelings, Zerglings on this side of the natural. I think there is a lot of potential. Poor YoungYakov, by the way, is dropping creep, but he's dropping creep on the wrong location. Burrowed Banelings as well, I love it. The Zergling count is currently 62. There are 30 Marines with still... Oh, he's morphing a couple Banelings already as well. Baneling speed not quite done yet. Without any tanks, Zerglings can also sneak in from the bottom. Obviously Moja can also just kite back, but if you give up all the SCVs, that also hurts. Yakov is expanding very far away from Moja. Does feel like I've lived this life before, casting Golden Wall, but now it's just slightly different. Different map, different era, different HP in the Banelings. Burrow is close to finishing up. Yakov is gonna send it. Is Moja paying attention? Moja is paying attention, but Yakov one-sets around. Couple of the Banelings and Zerglings working on the SCVs. Baneling connections in the natural, not bad. Honestly, great first attack by YoungYakov. And don't forget, the Burrow is about to finish up, so he can leave Burrow Banelings all the way. There is an Overseer in the main base. This is how Zerg... I mean, there's so many ways, Bully, that the Zerg could have won. And obviously, this is not over yet. Moja can still win too, but... It's just so... Like, I'm all for sometimes calling GG if the game is over. I am not for calling GG 3.5 minutes in. Because the Zerg took an early pull and an early gas. And their economy is slightly worse than it normally would have been. Like, that's a little bit too dramatic for me. Especially because the Terran Moja is incredibly good, but Moja is not Liquid Clump. Mistakes happen, guys. Not every Terran player out there is picture perfect and will never make a boo-boo. The Clem Kid is just a bit annoying. He's too good. Too clean. 2-2 is about to finish up for Moja. YoungYakov is going to set up a counterattack. A tiny Baneling boss would be good enough, as Moja really didn't leave a lot behind. This is not where YoungYakov should fight, by the way. Terran's army is massive at this point. Almost feels, by the way, not mining out these minerals would have maybe helped him here, but obviously would not have helped him in the previous fight. Yakov is going all out on the counter. Would have loved a couple of barrel Banelings, by the way. It's really sad that we didn't get to see that yet. Moja is already making himself at home in the natural, as YoungYakov is going to try to do the same thing on the other side of the map. Moja gets a tiny bit of a heads up, is not really reacting yet. Zerglings derping a little bit. Yakov maybe focused a little bit on the defense here. Oh my goodness, YoungYakov is losing so much, and this attack has gone absolutely horrendous. It has gone horrendous, and just like that, it is Moja with the 2-0 lead. Ay caramba. Yakov in trouble. First attack was good. I feel it's a real shame that he didn't capitalize on the fact that he had a couple burrowed Banelings. I think we could have absolutely burrowed that on the path. Maybe he never thought that Moja would just attack him again so quickly afterwards, but... Ay. When do we get Moja to play a non-TVZ? This is brutal. I feel like he played a Protoss once, no? I mean, he was very worried when I gave him YoungYakov. And he also earlier today said, oh, matchmaking, 600 MMR, yada yada, but Moja is... When it comes to Marine Tank, he's a bit of a beast. He did against Sep. I feel like that was the series where you guys both won and lost multiple times in... Oh wait, I'm mostly thinking of you against Mute. You against Mute was the most insane series. But Moja, you was a 3-2 as well, right? And I felt like there was a throw involved. Me vs Moja was pretty similar, yeah, okay. You were winning and then you lost? Yeah, I know Moja played Kukut. That was... Honestly, Kukut played really well. For how much of an underdog he was in that series, I actually think that Kukut played very well there. Sep against Moja, I just remember it went to distance and it was a bit wild. But it is overshadowed by Sep against Mute. Because that was not just wild, that was ridiculous. Round 3.
Round 3.
Fight!
Perhaps against all odds, taking the 2-0 lead. An absolute animal with the basic Starcraft 2 units. Marines, tanks, medevacs, maybe the occasional Liberator. But that's about it. It's not the most fancy and funky dynamic gameplay. But he's so damn good in what he does. And he's taking the 2-0 lead against one of the best Zergs in Europe. This is Moja. Top right side, we are looking at the main base of the man who opened up with the pull and the gas. Maybe he thought he was gonna get 2 racks, Lord knows, whatever he had in mind. It didn't work out, but that first attack really wasn't that bad. I kinda liked it. Just afterwards, I think we panicked a little bit against the big Marine tank push. And the counterattack, the execution there, it wasn't that clean. That could have gone a lot better. And I'm sure if he takes another look at it, he would absolutely agree. This is YoungYakov. Shout out to Hemrick. I played a guy on the PTR a couple times. It's called Heinrich. He's a Protoss. Somewhat similar. It is going to be Command Center first in Game 3 by Moja. Moja is definitely getting away with a lot of good stuff. But I still think Ultra Love, YoungYakov. I don't want to count him out yet. Definitely be a bit of an upset if Moja walks away with his in dominating fashion with a clean sweep. I don't expect that to happen. Will he go for the bunny? Command Center first into a 2 base all in. Or is it just going to be 3 bases and all the Marines? Shout out to Mind Control, by the way, for the 100 bits too. We'll take it. I don't know what kind of a discount Twitch gave you guys on bits, but I went from having like no bit activity on this channel to suddenly a whole bunch of bits coming in. And of course we had our legendary bit donation a couple months ago. That was wild. What a man. I do feel like initially they charged a slightly too high of a fee for bits, because I think a lot of streamers would be completely okay with getting rid of the PayPal transactions and just receiving bits as small tips for Lord knows what. And if the fee of buying bits is so high, obviously it's very understandable that it stops a lot of people from purchasing them. I've gifted a lot of subbies in my life to different channels, but I've actually never ever bought bits. I eventually did have some bits that I could share because I watched ads or something, but I got like 200 bits. I was like, woohoo. I think I gave him to Ben, but I'm not sure. And what do we ever get in return from Ben? Nothing. What a guy. I watched Ben's VOD of Deadlock yesterday. It was very fun. He lost 3 games in a row. And at the end of game 3, while he was already dead for 25 seconds, one guy on his team wrote, "Nice gameplay, by the way, McGinnis. I hope you enjoyed this game." And Ben was not doing great, but he was not doing a whole lot worse than the rest of the team. And Ben is like, "I don't think I was the problem here, mate." I was like, well, I don't know. There was an Abrams in the game that went 0-12. But I enjoyed it. I love watching random VODs of my friends, whether it's Starcraft, Deadlock, Battle Aces, and then sometimes you stumble upon a gem. And I'm so happy I caught that. I don't think I was the problem, mate. The man wrote as he was dead for 25 seconds, 1 and 5. I love it. We've got the 2-1-1 setup of 2 bases once more here for Moja. I am expecting a slightly different game plan than we saw in game 1. We've got the double eBay coming up as well. So probably a 3rd command center, right? Before any extra Rexes, before Lord knows what else. So it's not the quickest 3rd CC, but at least I think the door is still open to build one. Yeah, that helps a lot as well, Kappa. The bigger something. Okay, Rex number 4. No, Rex number 3. I'm confused. All roads lead to Rome, and all the Moja roads eventually lead to a lot of Marines and tanks, but I just never really know which route he's taking. Overlord gets sniped. That is going to temporarily supply block YoungYakov, who's got a pretty usual setup of Zerglings, has dropped the Bailey Nest, 5 Overlords on the production tab, and obviously the double Evo chamber with +1 melee and +1 carapace for the Lings and the Banes eventually. This Moja is now just working with 3 Rexes. He's maybe looking to cancel a hedge there, but there's nothing that can be cancelled. YoungYakov hasn't built it yet. The set decides to drop it over here on the right side. The scan here would grab a lot of the creep tumors, but Moja felt that the Zerglings were a little too close. YoungYakov did take control of this Zelnaga watchtower in the bottom right. Moja is, I think, flying in range of that. Yep, he is flying in range. Probably going to check and see if YoungYakov has the tower. He saw a Zergling there. First, the Liberator's on the way, so this is a little, I guess, like something that Cure does quite often. We took an awkward route, but Moja once more is just gonna send it with a lot of Marines, tanks, and lips. YoungYakov looking for a run by. That run by did incredibly good. Raise that depot, raise that depot. Oh, Moja, you had time. Moja absolutely had time there, guys, to raise that depot, but he didn't. Maybe this is Moja's master plan. He says more Lings and Banes on this side of the map, and my Marines and tanks are just going to kill everything. Yakov is 25 seconds, give or take, away from Baneling speed. And this time I think he's not going to take any bad fights. It is a similar setup to game 1 of this series. And Yakov does lose the 3rd base. But maybe he thinks if he kills all the SCVs, Moja doesn't even have a 1 base economy left. A lot of the Zerglings should have gone into the main base a tiny bit earlier, to be fair. But at least Baneling Speed is gonna finish up. Can YoungYakov finally take the fight that he has been looking for? By the way, that fourth base is still online as the Zergling still dancing in the net from the other side. Yakov a little bit disoriented. Transfuse those queens then, Yakov, as here come the Zerglings, the Banelings. They look for connections, they find connections. Tanks are falling. This time it has to be the Russian Zergy, right? No 3-0s tonight, at least not yet. As Yakov cleans this up, dealt a devastating amount of damage on the other side of the map. And Moja has to start raising that wall, guys. One great counterattack is all it really took here for YoungYakov. It felt that maybe he could have left a few less links on the low ground and more links into the main base. Then I think he would have killed all the SCVs very quick. But even like this was good enough. And I gotta say, very mature call to sacrifice your third base. That's not an easy call to make. But Yakov just did not want to see that scenario where he would engage with slow banelings. They would get picked off by the Marines, by the tanks, and he'd be in all sorts of trouble. So he let it go for a little while, waited for Baneling Speed, then decided to pounce on that army. And took a great fight. Well done. And game 4 is going to be played on our blast from the past, Romanticide. Can we get a second to game 5 tonight? I honestly would be a fan. And I kind of believe in it. But let's see if we can actually get it. I'd love to see some Mudas as well, but I guess it's incredibly hard to play Mudas against Moja, because he's always in your face with 45 Marines with 1-1 upgrades before you have basically anything. And it is a good map for a good old-fashioned 8-Rex. To be fair to Moja, we haven't even seen any 8-Rexing yet. He's gotten the job done with less than that, but still.
Round 4.
Fight!
Because we only have 6 brand new maps right now, Dr. Wormling, I decided to stick to the 9 map pool that we gotten used to over the last year and a half in Starcraft 2. And I just selected 3 maps from the past. This time I went for Romanticide, Data Sea, that we haven't seen yet by the way, and 2K Atmosphere. Next week I'll probably go with the 6 new maps and 3 other maps from the past. I am open to suggestions by the way, but not Steps of War or something like that. We're not gonna do that. As long as it's good and it's playable in the modern era of StarCraft 2, I'm willing to take a look at it. So Abyssal Reef obviously is fine. That other purple map that Rainer had this great game on against Classic, that I keep forgetting the name of, is fine. I mean, Golden Wall is obviously fine, but it's silly right now because El Dorado is basically Golden Wall. And I don't think we really need to see the same map twice on one night. And bottom right side, guys, up to 1, the German Terran, Moja, as we have loaded into Romanticide. Top left side of Romanticide, we are looking at the main base of the Russian Zerg. A lot of you guys thought he was the big favorite in this series, and he's definitely not down and out yet, but he is struggling. This is YoungYakov. Year 0? Year 0 is not a bad map. Kind of like that one. There was another map around that era that was actually very bad. It had that very bright team set with a lot of gold lines and then all those air blockers, like top left against top right. I'll never forget a game that I had on Showtime against that map, because Showtime did the one thing that is absolutely illegal, and that is that he went triple Stargate Phoenix without a fleet beacon, and I somehow lost the fight with Phoenix range, because I never thought Showtime would pull that trick. It's not very reliable. I still remember that game. It still haunts me, because I had a very bad record against Showtime. Not surprising, I know. Neon Violet Square wasn't too bad. I like that one. Stargaze is not that fun. We basically have Golden Wall right now, Hacker Stuff. I don't know how you guys can ask for Golden Wall when we have El Dorado, which is literally Golden Wall. Once more, Moja has gone for a double Rex on the low ground, and he makes a tiny move out with 2 Marines, an SCV, there are 2 Reapers, 3rd Reaper on the way. Yakov had enough of these shenanigans, guys, as he makes a lot of Zerglings, and he drops a very early Baneling Nest this time. There is there is a 3rd command center. Ay caramba, that means no tanks. Moja needs to scout this, and if he scouts this, he should be. Oh, I love the the drone transfer. It's so important that the Reapers don't get in. YoungYakov, you're not allowed to let these Reapers get in. Oh, Moja, he gets in. Moja gets in and he's going to spot a very low drone count. He's going to see the Baneling Nest as well. This is massive for Moja. Zergling speed is not done yet. Now you can start building bunkers, baby. You better build some bunkers. And these Marines need to get to the other side. He's going to defend on the high ground. Is that overly safe, guys? Do we like the high ground defense? I think I would have. I think 2 bunkers on the low ground and you're kind of okay now, as long as you have a wall off. Alright. Well, we are going to get a bunker on the low ground too, but now I feel like we're kind of defending everywhere. I like the backup wall, don't get me wrong, but I would love the quicker bunker on the low ground. I think that's a little bit late. The Banelings blow up the first depot. YoungYakov is wondering what he should go for. He's going to get a few more Banelings. Yakov, his economy is incredibly small. And again, Moja's got a bunch of Marines without stim. That bunker on the low ground I do think is not going to finish up. The Banelings connect with a lot of the Marines. Well, the bunker is done, but is very exposed. Marines don't reach. I think the first 2 bunkers should have been on the low ground, guys. And then a backup bunker on the high ground is fine. But the problem now as well is that every single Marine you build is going to die immediately. Because it cannot safely make it back up to the high ground. Yeah, obviously we can lift the Rexes. But now we give up on the natural forever. We lose the add-ons. We lose the depot. We're going to not be able to mine from our low ground expand for a little while. I think Yakov is cooking. I think this could have gone a lot better for Moja. I think the moment he saw how few drones there were in the main base, because YoungYakov did something smart. He grabbed a bunch of drones from the main, sent them to the natural to make it look normal, and obviously he hoped that his opponent would never see the main. But his opponent did see the main. You see the Baneling Nest. I think you go bunker, bunker, and then here you just go triple depot or depot, depot, bunker. But the first 2 bunkers on the low ground, I think if they're done immediately, as a Zerg, you don't have enough Banelings to blow up the depots, then blow up not 1 but 2 bunkers, and potentially even a 3rd emergency bunker. Yakov doesn't have to do this, by the way, but Yakov says, Roddy, I don't care, I'm going to do it anyway. This man has been hurting me, and I'm going to continue hurting him here. As he is obviously macroing up behind this, but even this tiny attack is doing great damage. And Moja is in all sorts of trouble, and I think for the 2nd time tonight, we are going to game 5. That Roddy matchmaking is back, baby. Extra depots reinforcing, well, not really, because if you have like a depot and you build the other depot right next to it, the Baneling damage splashes over. So you can actually kill 2 depots in a row. It should have just been bunker, bunker immediately, and then this should have been the 3rd line of defense. If our opponent is really going, oh, Mega Ham keeps on sending Zerglings and Banelings, and somehow we lose 2 full HP bunkers on the low ground after losing the depot. But honestly, I think that was kind of poor by Moja. He had time as well, but could be nerves, could be pressure. I don't know. Maybe he thought his opponent wouldn't actually go for it after he scouted it. I don't know. I don't know what Moja was thinking, but it is safe to say that the way that he handled it was not the correct way. Because this could have been his game. This could have been the end of the series. It could have been a W. Instead, it now looks like we are going to game 5. Hello, Goblin. How are you doing, mate? How are you feeling? Goblin had to install the PTR for the Big Brain Bouts tonight. He's like, oh damn, I got invited? I better make it seem like I was totally ready. Did the download go fine at least, mate? Don't worry. Chem didn't even know what the PTR was, so you've got a leg up. Because I know that you're in touch enough with the community that you play the game. Cool. Our pro gamers, guys. Active as ever. Meanwhile, I get flamed, but I have a slightly more activity than most of them. Been watching your stream a lot. That helps. I mean, Goblin watches all the streams, but a lot of them don't actually show a lot of Starcraft too. It's alright, Goblin. I know Goblin is just ready for the day that Queen Pokey finally boots up Starcraft 2, and he's like, I was ready, I was there, I saw everything. And that is how my boy Gubbers justifies spending hours upon hours watching the Queen. Tiny Baneling roll by, guys, into the third base of Moja. That's very nice of Moja. Moja actually saved most of his SCVs, but then he's like, oh, Banelings need love too. They're just misunderstood. And he brought the SCVs back and gave them a very warm hug with 6 SCVs. That's very sweet of Moja. And someone should tell him that that's not needed. A lot of Starcraft 2 units need love, yeah, but the Baneling is not one of them. Eight Marines inside of a medevac. As a Grandmaster League player myself, Bonma, I cannot answer that question. I've never set up a camera hotkey in my life, and I still peaked at 6,200 MMR. Overrated, baby. Those camera hotkeys are overrated. I saw I need 2 Hellbats in the production tab, so he didn't even build Hellions to morph them into Hellbats. He just built Hellbats. This looks very strange to me, because you just almost never see this. But Moja has done a decent job in recovering economically, and he's about to get his hands on 2-2. He doesn't have 8 Rexes anymore, he's got 7, but that's enough to build a lot of Marines. Couple Marines just came forward. I've asked Naniwa to play, and Naniwa said he would be interested in playing, but only if he actually has a lot of time to play StarCraft. And lately I don't think he's been too excited to play, but maybe with the new maps, new patch, he will install the game and he will actually he'll be down to play. Well, obviously I need to get approval as well, but I think it will be fine. I think a lot of you guys would like watching Naniwa play some games. Oh, burrowed Banelings, but it was in the face of Moja. Moja saw that, right? Moja did see that, split the units off. Oh, Yakov, are you sure about this fight? Hydras, Lings and Banes off creep. I don't know, man. I kind of feel like he's running into the Terran meat grinder there. As the 2-2 upgrades were ready, and Moja takes a pretty amazing fight. That was not the fight for YoungYakov, but he has a lot of creep, so I think, oh my god, Moja's so nuts. Just keeps on stemming in. I don't know if Moja can go up the ramp though. Up the ramp into a Hydra concave with a couple of Banelings still in the mix as well. I don't think this is the fight, Moja. I think we're getting a tiny bit carried away. That first fight was good, but that was at the edge of creep and off creep. This is deep into a sea of creep. Upper ramp, into Hydras, into Banelings, with immediate reinforcements. I think it's too much. I think Moja got a tiny bit carried away. First it was YoungYakov who got carried away. Now it's Moja who's still a little overeager. He now fires up a +3. Still just making Marines, Marauders and Hellbats. Doesn't quite have the economy to fire up +3 armor. Few Marauders leading the charges. Is this a rich Vespene geyser, by the way? No, right? It is. Yeah. YoungYakov is gonna get his hands on the center base with the rich Vespene geyser. It's been a long time, guys, since I've casted the RotterdaM side and I didn't check it. Burrowed a couple of Banelings as well, but it's on top of a ramp. Moja is going to scan. I think you saw the burrow animation there on the edge. No hive tag yet. Well, Moja definitely needs to be careful. Like, I want to say I think Moja has it. Well, yeah, one bad fight and he doesn't have it, so it is still scary. And that fight earlier on the edge of creep / off creep didn't go very well. Now we've got a little circling one by into the third base of Moja. Moja is quick to react this time. Pulls all the SCVs to safety and lets the reinforcing Marines and Marauders take care of it. I feel YoungYakov, his burrowed Baneling placement could use a tiny bit of work. There was so much potential in El Dorado and he never used it, and now he keeps burrowing them on top of a ramp. There's creep. There is a ramp. It's a choke point. It's like, might not be the spot. Needs to be very careful here. There are some Zerglings picking up reinforcements. I love that. But YoungYakov is going to have to give up on this center base with the rich Vespene geyser. He feels that Terran army is too big, too scary to fight. And I think he's right. Moja probably needs a little more firepower here, guys. Because these Zerglings now have +2 carapace. That means that they won't just die that quickly anymore against these Marines and Marauders. There's no medevac support. Love the counterattack. Moja does not care about defending the third base mineral line for a bit. He is fully focused on this army. Can Moja get the W and walk away with 100 buckies here tonight? Or will it be 25 if YoungYakov can still send us to game 5? Lurkers finish up on the left side as the Banelings find a couple of good connections with the bio. That lurker got picked off though. If YoungYakov loses this base as well, Moja rotates his army towards that top base. This is not a base that YoungYakov can lose and he knows it. Lurker tries to burrow, Queens try to transfuse it. The drones are being pulled. What a fight between these two. But YoungYakov keeps the hatchery alive, has lost 13 workers, but that's all good. Hydras, Lynx, Lurkers keep on pushing this Terran army back further and further. Well, Moja is gonna get this one, and that means it's now 3 bases against 3 bases, but it is Hive-Tech Zerg. We're not talking Lair-Tech Zerg. It's 3 base Hive-Tech Zerg, and the Lurkers are done. And Moja obviously has no Ghost Academy because he's Moja. I don't know. I don't think Moja is winning, and I know that sounds silly because he's up 27 supply, he's up 30 army supply, but I don't think Moja is winning because Moja is gonna pull a Benny. And if people are unfamiliar with pulling a Benny, he's gonna grab all his bio units and he's gonna stim into a whole bunch of lurkers. He's gonna kill the first one, he will almost get the second, and then he loses everything. And it's like, Alice. Alice, look at this. I think I should play Age of Empires, right, Alice? Like, it's just not right. I've got a perfect, beautiful concave, but the spiky boys, they just kill everything. I don't think I deserve this, Alice. Moja tried to make it happen, and he got a couple of them, to be fair, but did not quite get all of them. As Goblin is shouting in chat that he just wants to play. Get ready for game 5 with Goblin. Because no one has ever won by pulling a Benny. Not quite the accent. The thing is, if you guys give Ben a couple beers, he becomes more British throughout the night. And becomes very posh. That's when you get the real Benny. Still highest supply, yeah, but as long as we're not building any ghosts, it's gonna be hard. He is building Liberators. And Libs obviously will give him a shot, but it's not gonna go his way. The Zerglings are going to pick up some Marauders. They're going to get on top of more SCVs. Don't forget, by the way, because it's Hive-Tech, we could get Adrenal Glands. We don't have Adrenal Glands, but we could potentially get Adrenal Glands. I love a couple of burrowed Zerglings behind. As Moja, Moja is a very... I don't know what the word is that I'm looking for, but he sometimes reminds me of Lilbao, where he's incredibly good if he's attacking, if he's right in the face of his opponent, and if he's the one dictating the pace of the game. But if you force him to pay a lot of attention to what's happening at home in one of his expansions, I don't want to say he falls apart, but he rather just does not want to deal with it. He closes his eyes and he's like, no, more attacks. But that's obviously not always the way, as Vipers are out. Parasitic bombs have been dropped inside of the medevacs. Moja splits it off at the absolute last second. That could have been a disaster. A few of these Zerglings have on burrow. They're fighting the SCVs. Burrow them again. I love it. As YoungYakov left a few lurkers behind. Moja pulls the Benny once more. Gets one of them, to be fair. I'm saying he's a big F2 user. Yeah, I can absolutely see that. 143 army supply against 142. 12 worker lead on the side of YoungYakov, who even thinks that it is time to potentially retake this center base. He has never seen this base, by the way. That's kind of funny with all those run-bys. Still a couple of burrowed Zerglings behind. Moja says, alright, this time I've got Liberators right. That means I can absolutely stim forward into these lurkers. If I can do it with Liberators, I can never do it. They have nerfed the Ghost. The Ghost is 3 supply. And the Ghost is no longer Moja's friend. But I'll be honest, guys, Moja was never really the best friends with Ghost. But if you don't have any Ghosts and you have to deal with Lurkers and Vipers, it's not going to go your way. We may shy away a little bit from that late game TVZ scenario where every Terran has 22 Ghosts and that's basically it. But honestly, I'm pretty happy about that. But I still think you're gonna need a couple Ghosts. EMPs are always going to be important. And you may not snipe the entire Zerg army. But if you can snipe the Vipers, you're still gonna give yourself a good shot. Liberators will create a couple circles. And the lurker count is too high though. It's 11. I kind of feel like there will always be some lurkers. YoungYakov even thought of a lurker counterattack. Moja deals with it. It's now YoungYakov who's gonna send it on top of Moja's army. The Liberators were not sieged. The tanks were not sieged. The parasitic bomb dealt a silly amount of damage as Moja brings it back to kill another medevac. Yakov is gonna win this, guys. As Renal Glance is halfway done. I mean, there is a shot with Liberators. There is a tiny shot. But it's kind of feel that Moja panics. The moment he sees Lurkers, the moment he sees those Vipers, I think he kind of panics. This is a pretty good spot, by the way, for tanks and lips. Yakov now gets 2 Lurkers in range of this mineral line. He's going to get a couple of good shots off. That is -8 SCVs. Sick game, man. Honestly, very fun game between these two. But I kind of feel that Moja is just a tiny bit too stubborn in these scenarios. The Vipers are out. Abducts will land. 3 Liberators are going to get abducted. The tank gets abducted too. And Moja loses a lot of very important Terran units. And that means he's left mostly with the units that he loves so much. The Marines and the Marauders. And he's so good with them against the Lynx, the Banes, the Roaches, Ravagers, Hydras. But the Lurkers are problematic. Lurkers are scary. Moja, that's not the choke point against Lurkers. Sweet baby. Jesus, I don't even think that Ben would have gone for that engagement. And that says a lot. If my boy Benny looks at a gap and he knows there's a couple Lurkers on the other side and he wouldn't go for it, then you should absolutely never ever go for it as a Terran. Oh no. Basically lost everything. Went home with his tail between his legs and low HP Liberator. I love how we load up a medevac with 2 Marauders and a Marine. It's alright. Time to get a little drop action going, baby. That was pushing it a little bit, guys. This is hell for the Zerg now. Mixer would look at this while he's in the middle of swinging between 2 buildings, ready to power slam the entire team. He would glance over and he would say that this is actually not hell for the Zerg. Mixer would say this is heaven. These are his favorite moments. Where the victory is so close, you can basically taste it. All you have to do is get those Lurkers on top of another command center, on top of a few more Marines and Marauders, and we are going to Game 5. Moja is surrounded. The swarm is coming from 2 different angles. There's a few more abducts will land. There goes the tank. Here goes the lip. There are Zerglings and maybe a Lurker. No, it was just Lynx splitting up into the natural and the original 3rd base. Moja is eventually going to have to fight his army. But he's pulling a Ben. Where at this point he's just running away so far. Moja, be careful. If you go a little bit further to the bottom left, you run straight into Age of Empires 4. And you don't want to run that far. It's okay to run away, mate, and avoid those scary Zerg armies. But don't run so far that you end up in a different game. You'll never return. And we love you too much in Starcraft to see that happen. Lurkers are going to burrow. Final blinding cloud. The Marines are running straight into their death. 1 more forward stim, baby. 7-8 Lurkers. Moja doesn't give a damn. He believes in the power of bio. But unfortunately, bio units are not good enough here. GG gets called. And YoungYakov sends us to Game 5. That Roddy matchmaking is so back. Last week was an off week, guys. I blame Molten for it. Molten gave me a short list and I felt pressured, I felt rushed, I wasn't in my element. But we are so back this Friday. That's fun night. Fun night so far, fun games. I'm curious to see who wins this one. Big thank you to Drizzle for the 95-month Twitch Prime sub. And thank you to Astrones for the 46 months and the tier 3 as well. That's really awesome. Big shout out to Basilisk for the 10 gifted subbies. I'll take those. Last week was an aberration because of the balance patch. Yeah, it was a balance patch. It was an epic land night. Molten came up with a list of suggestions. It wasn't me. I am not a man to make excuses, but it wasn't really me. And the previous nights were so good, and this one is pretty damn good too. Moja is not a big ghost boy by default. I am sure that seeing that they became 3 supply instead of 2 supply will not make him any more eager or keen to build them. But Moja was never a big ghost user. By the way, I don't know if you guys answered me in Discord. I'm surprised that none of you guys said anything about F1. So Oscar, Lando, Charles, Max, Sainz, Russell, Gasly, Lawson, Albon, Bearman. Damn. Hey, Gasly is on a bit of a roll again, eh? I actually really like that. I like Pierre. Well done. Dragging that shitbox, as they call it, into Q3 a couple times is very impressive. Yeah, you could make the Ghost one supply, and I still think that Moja will pretty much stick to what he's best at. It's kind of the same for me, right? Even if you make Oracles one supply, would that mean that all of a sudden I become an Oracle master and I start spamming Oracles? No. I'll probably still be a Phoenix boy. Maybe I'll make them a bit more and experiment a little, but I'd still stick to what I'm best with. For the second time tonight, we are loading into Game 5 before we get ready for the main event of the evening. Goblin is trembling in anticipation. He's so excited to play. But Gobbus, you're gonna have to wait just a little while longer.
Final round. Fight!
Top left side, looking at the main base of our German Terran. Oh my goodness. In Game 5, for all the marbles, the boys are leaving town. Can you believe it? Has he been planning for this all along? It is Moja. Oh, Goblin, you get your wish, mate. Unless we end up in that weird scenario where he deals a lot of damage and he's kind of ahead, but he can't quite kill him, and the game goes on for another hour because he has to build a third CC. That's possible, Goblin. Oh my goodness, what YoungYakov is opening up for the second time in this series. To be fair, the previous time it didn't work out at all, and this time it's gonna work out to perfection. A gas, a pool, before a hatch, and he is going to be so happy with this decision. This is YoungYakov. And Moja, guys, has really played the series, because all series long he has shown the same thing, right? Barracks on the low ground. So if you're YoungYakov here, you'd be like, oh, this is basically what he has shown me throughout the entire series. But it's not, because there's a third and a fourth barracks out there. But for the second time in the series, YoungYakov has gone for an early pull, an early speed, and this time he's going to be so happy with it. Will the Overlord scout it? No. Yep, it's a master plan by Moja. I really like it. Unfortunately for him, it's not quite working out yet, but it could obviously still work out. Because YoungYakov has not gone deep enough with his Overlord to see that the command center is missing. So this is wild. Game 5, you gotta love it. A lot of Jedi mind tricks being pulled here. Yakov sees the barracks. This may make the alarm bells go off a little bit, right? Because he's like, wait a minute, you haven't done this at all throughout the entire series. As the Zerglings are here on the right side. And obviously all the other games, guys, Moja did go 2 Marines into Reapers. This time, I think that YoungYakov already saw multiple Marines there. So he sees a landed barracks in the middle of nowhere, sees it producing Marines. Are we gonna pull the boys as well? I think we're so all in that we pull the boys, right? Yes, Moja! Game 5, Big Brain Bouts. All the boys. All the boys. 4 Rex, Marine, 1 base all in. YoungYakov, what are we gonna do, mate? We probably need some spines, no? Or do you guys think that pure Link Queen is good enough? Zergling speed is done. Yakov is gonna go for a run by, but there is nothing to kill. He's now going to see a Marine and an SV coming in from the bottom left. You need spines, no? I mean, maybe you can do it without spines. I don't know, guys. But I think a spine or 2 would go a very long way. A spine or 2 would go a very long way. The winner of the best of 5 gets $100. The loser gets 25. Moja runs into the natural and he sees nothing. So now he's going to be a decisive boy. And he runs straight into the main base. Yakov, you don't need this, mate. I don't think you need this. You need that firepower here. All the drones, all the queens, all the Zerglings. But the guy with the gun. Has the guy with the gun ever filled Terran players? And Transfuse is landing on the drones. The SVs are melting. The Marines are melting. It is good enough for YoungYakov as he gets the victory here in Game 5. No spines needed for this man. Just a perfect fight with the queens, the lings, the drones. A Transfuse on the drone. And it's the reverse sweep. 3-2 for YoungYakov. He gets it. He gets it. Well done. Great reverse sweep. Fun series, honestly. Apparently, it took YoungYakov to finally stop Moja from winning on the Friday night, guys. Look at that. That was fun. GG. I enjoyed it. I hope you guys enjoyed it. I absolutely did enjoy it. Nice reverse sweep. Congrats to YoungYakov for getting the W here on the Friday night. And that means we just have one series remaining. It's the main event of the evening. Goblin versus another man who keeps on winning in the Big Brain Bouts. That man is Cham. A best of 5 main event BBB number 74. And that obviously means it's a 150-50 split. Goblin, Croatian Protoss, Cham, Mexican Zerg. Give you guys 15 minutes to get your predictions in. I'm going to go ahead and take a tiny break. We'll run some ads, disable the pre-rolls, and then we'll fire up our final series of the night. We had a 3-2, a 3-1, a 3-2. I think it's been a good night so far. I feel like we've had some exciting and fun moments. Hope you guys enjoyed it too. Tiny break, and then game 5. Or series 4, game 1 coming up.